What's going on, everybody? This is Rick from Studio Spades, and today I'm going to show you the brand new and improved X-Ray and Hologram Shader 2.0. It's been a nice update. It brings some quality of life improvements and some new functions as well. And the menu is definitely improved and way more easy to navigate. So I'm going to demonstrate that today. Let me just first enable my screencast keys as well, so you can see what buttons I'm pressing. That makes it easier for you to follow along. All right, so first of all, let's enable a atmospheric cube I made. It's a simple cube around my Suzanne monkey, and that's basically the entire scene. You can copy the principal volume settings here, so we get this nice glow effect for some part of the tutorial to make it look a bit more interesting. Let's go back to the Suzanne and start playing with X-Ray and Hologram Shader 2.0. So what's new in 2.0 is the neutral layer. So in previous versions we had lots of effects layers here and a couple of mask layers, but what was missing was a more general neutral layer, which can add some detail. So let's turn off all the other layers and enable neutral. And at first you might think, okay, that's not a lot that's popping up on my screen right now. And you're correct, because I set the default to something that works nicely with the rest of the layers. And by that I mean I selected some dark colors, but you can slide up the brightness of these colors if you want, and make it a bit more easier to see. But if you enable the rest of the layers, by default it might be a bit too bright and colorful. You can see that when I turn it off now, it kind of overpowers the rest of the layers. So I personally decided to keep the colors a bit more muted. But for demonstration's sake, let's keep them bright. So that is the neutral layer. Pretty simple layer, actually. You can always flip the color ramps as well, and all the colors are being projected in combination with normal information. The normals of the mesh are being used to color the mesh. Now, how does it do that? We'll have to dive into that. And we can do that under factor here. So unfold settings, unfold color, and then under factor, you can see a vector that has been selected. Now, if you look closely, the +1 on the z-axis has been filled in, meaning that it uses the normals that point up or down to color the mesh, as you can see. So now it's more bluish and purple. Now it's more reddish. And if we flip this color ramp, it'll invert the effect. So now the bottom is blue and the top is more reddish. And if you don't want to invert your color ramp, you can always invert it with this switch right here. Really easy. And you can select vectors here from in between 0 and 1 to manipulate the direction of the colors. But right now it's using normal information, so it kind of looks different based on the direction of the normals. And it might not be the look that you are going for. And that's perfectly fine, because I've added a UV selector in here as well. So right now it's set to normal. But if we select generated, for example, you can see a clear left to right. Let me just turn off the fog here. You can see a clear left to right or right to left, because it's inverted. Use of the color ramp here that's being stretched along the mesh when you use generated. And depending on the vector information you choose, you can, of course, switch that up. So now when we do it on the z-axis, it goes from up to down. Pretty cool. So that's what the color direction UV selector is for. And we have all kinds of options, but just remember that you can only select one at the same time. And the last one you selected, the lower it goes, is the one that overrides everything above it. So if you select camera and generated, it just uses camera. So this is basically the same as disabling this. Right now, camera is not doing a lot on this, but maybe UVs. There, you can see the stitch on the default Suzanne is apparently along the from the front to the back of the skull. That's where the UVs are. There's a UV seam there. That shows up because we use the vector in combination with this color ramp. And it kind of wraps from this side to the other side. And if you think that this seam can cut loose and this mesh becomes a flat projection, it makes more sense that this side is blue and it loops around to the other side and becomes red. But I personally like normal because it can create some interesting colors from different angles. And by default, the color direction UV selector is set to normal and the Z-axis as 1 and the rest of the vector of 0. So it's an interesting way to quickly color your hologram using, in this case, normal information of your mesh, so it looks different from all kinds of directions. Pretty cool. And we have other texture coordinates here as well. This is just the default texture coordinate node that I added to the menu here. So if you want to know more about this, Google the texture coordinate node in Blender. So that's the neutral layer. Pretty simple, but a nice addition, if you ask me. Let me just mute the colors a bit back to something dark so that it works with the rest of the layers. Oh. And when we enable some other layers and press play, you can see them work nicely together. At least I think so. I mean, there's a lot going on because I want to demonstrate the capabilities of the shader, of course, and give you a nice starting point from which you can make your own holograms with ease. That's the entire, that's the entire reason I made this hologram shader, of course, so you can easily make your own. So let's disable everything again and go to stripes for a second. Now, when I unfold the stripes layer, you can see settings, location, rotation, scale, and clamp. And we have location, rotation, scale A and B because this layer is split up into 2 layers. But this setup basically comes back in all layers. So you can see it here as well. Settings, location, rotation, scale, clamp, unfold another layer. And you see the same. So this all follows the same setup, making it way more easier to understand. Although the neutral layer cannot be moved because it's just one solid color. So there's no rotation, location, rotation, and scale because there's nothing to edit location, rotation, or scale wise. I hope that makes sense. The same goes for the wireframe layer. You cannot move that because it uses the information of your mesh to draw a wireframe. I'll demonstrate that right now. So you can see the wireframe right now. It uses the mesh, so there's nothing to move in that layer. But yeah, this menu setup comes back in all other layers. Only difference is that the stripe layers is 2 layers that you can move over each other to create a more complex look. You can see me move 1 layer now, and I'll scale the other layer up and down. Cool. And by default, these layers move slowly up. So when I press play, you can see them move upward, creating this cool futuristic hologram look. and all, basically, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of layers move by default. So the wave layer also moves. Voronoi layer also moves slowly. Zebra as well. Awesome. Now, we also, of course, have a different UV selector that's under settings right here. So under settings, you can select the UVs not for the colors. I mean, that's possible too if you unfold color and then go to the factor color direction UV selector, which I just demonstrated. But there's also a normal UV selector, which is set to object by default, not normal. And the normal UV selector, edits the way the texture, in this case the stripe layer, is projected on the mesh. So when I disable object and use normal, it creates a different look than the horizontal stripes because it uses the normal information to move the stripes along the mesh. So yeah, could be a look you could go for. I'm not a real big fan of this option right here, but you know, it's possible. You can switch the projection if you wanted. You can use the camera angle. So if you switch the direction from which you look at the mesh, the texture projection varies depending on the look. There's also window and reflection. And these, if you want to know more about these texture projections, just look up the texture coordinate node for Blender. But by default, this one is set to object under all layers. So there's a new UV selector there. We also have the normal settings, of course, of this layer. So we can adjust the line thickness. Let me just stop it from playing. You can select how thick the lines are. Do it for the other layer as well to create a different set of stripes. Pretty cool. And of course, you can also change the emission. Set it to 0, nothing shows up. Set it to 8,000 and it becomes quite bright. But by default, they are all set to 250. The visibility of a layer is set under clamp. And it uses a Fresnel node to hide or show parts of the mesh that are either pointing towards the camera or pointing away from the camera, creating a different look from different angles, as you can see. So it gets this see-through feel. And we can change that, of course. So we can just start tweaking the slider. You can see it become quite different. You can invert this, of course, really make it your own, and then combine it with other layers to create your own holograms. Maybe change the color here and there. Under settings, of course, so instead of blue, maybe we can go for yellow. I don't know. You can see the blue stripes are now yellow. Now they're back to blue. So that's all interesting. And every settings menu has different settings according to that node that is being used. So under the wave settings, we have different settings because you can distort the wave node, for example. So let's go to wave, press play. And distortion is set to 20 by default. And if we set it to 0, there are less curls and less distortion. 20 increases, maybe slide it even more up. And we can create some radically different looks. Change the color as well. You can really create your own layers, your own holograms. You don't have to enable all layers, of course. You can keep it like this if you want. It's all up to you. So that is the settings and the visibility clamp. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe and like to my channel. And yeah, let's continue. But before I do that, this fog layer that I just disabled to create a glow around the hologram for a nice post-processing effect. We can also do that differently with the post-processing tool. This is a new product I developed, and it's exclusive to my Patreon subscribers. So if you want this, subscribe to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/studiospates or Speeds, however you would pronounce it in different countries. And yeah, it's a giant collection of awesome post-processing effects combined with masks to mask the effect out for certain sections of your screen. Really cool, but I'm going to disable it for now to keep the speed of this tutorial a bit higher. So I just want to go back to the threshold layer, to the wave layer, because I have a threshold section added here, and this basically creates a filter to show you, to enable when or when not to enable a certain layer. So it's a great way for filtering out a specific effect and make it more pronounced or not. The default is 0.01 for this one. We can also blur the layers, of course, so maybe set it to 4, and you can see the sharpness decrease. Pretty cool. And if you want to increase the sharpness, you can slide up contrast, of course. Brightness brightens or darkens the entire layer, which can make it appear or disappear again. So there's some nice post-processing here under the clamp section. You can invert colors, basically inverting the noise in this case. Super easy. And if you don't like it, make sure to set everything to 0, except for max, which is the point at which the layers start to fold back into itself. The colors start falling back into itself. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's slide it down from 10 to 2.4 in this case. And yeah, the lines start falling back into each other, creating way more lines, and yeah, generally looking much cooler. But you can set it to the default of 10, and yeah, you get the normal setting. And again, under clamp is visibility clamp, and you can start sliding the color ramp here to create a more visible or harder to see layer. And I've set it to a default that works nicely with the rest of the layers, but feel free to make it your own, of course, because that's the beauty of this tool. You can create your own versions rapidly. Now there's also an image texture layer. That's not something new per se, but there's a nice colorize image switch here, and you can color it any way you want. So let's give it a bright blue color as well. And again, it's using normal information to project the colors onto the mesh. And if you want to switch that to something different, you can. So now set it to generated, meaning it'll go from the bottom of the mesh to the top, from light green to a bit more darkish blue. Under the image mask, I loaded a simple circle image, but it's, let me just turn off colorize, it's kind of folding back into itself, just like the wave layer. That's because I used a threshold setting. Now, if you don't like that, just slide up the threshold above 1, and it'll get rid of that. You can easily see the circle here show up. Let me just increase the visibility. as you can see, a circle texture gets repeated along the mesh. And you can load in your own images in this blue section here. Click once and press tab to enter and edit global settings. So here are some global settings for certain nodes. And in the image mask loader, select it once, press tab. You can see circle.png, just a simple image I loaded in. Maybe I can show it in the image editor. I mean, this is it. Just a really simple image. And yeah, you can load in your own images. You can load in your own videos, of course, and load it in the image texture layer that way. Pretty cool. Now, finally, we also have some new effects. So all these layers add colors to the hologram. I'm just disable image texture for now. But we have a masking section as well. So there's a stripe mask, of course, which can create some additional stripes for a more hologram feel. Pretty cool. And the settings for the masks are nearly identical to, in this case, the stripe layer that adds to the holograms. For one small difference, let me just open the mask here. It has no emission or color because it's a mask, so it doesn't need to emit light, and it needs to subtract from the effects, so it has no color as well. It's just black and white. And if we look at stripes here, it has a color and emission section. But for the rest, it's basically the same under the masks here. So stripes mask as the same as the stripes layer. Same goes for wave mask, image texture as well. But we also have two new masks, which are the strobe mask. So let me just enable that one and press play. And it creates this strobing effect. Could be cool for that hologram look and feel. And we have a speed multiplier here as well. So if you set it to 4, it'll go twice as fast. That's all pretty self-explanatory. And all these masks also have a clamp section. So you can tweak the effect. So the max is by default 10. And when I set it to 7, for example, it doesn't get as dark. So the effect of the mask is less pronounced when you lower the max. So it will get less dark. And if you increase the contrast, for example, to, I don't know, maybe 40, the effect gets more pronounced. So it's a harsher on and off strobing of that effect. Pretty cool. And we also have a flicker mask, which kind of does the same, only randomly. So strobe is a rhythmic pattern, and flicker creates a random flickering, which could work for that hologram feel. So if you unfold flicker and go to clamp and lower the max to 7, for example, the effect will get less pronounced and it creates this slight flickering. I hope this shows up on YouTube. Maybe set it to 8. And there's this light flickering on it. Maybe 9. Yeah, pretty cool. You can also increase the contrast here, for example. Maybe 10. Get some more dramatic effect. So, yeah, that's basically it. Some new masks, UV selectors for the colors and the projection of the layers. And did I forget anything? Threshold is, of course, new. And the entire menu setup has been improved, of course. We are using settings, location, rotation, scale, and clamp now to make this tool way more easier to navigate. And yeah, that's basically the new stuff in the X-Ray and Hologram Shader. So maybe just quickly, as a final demonstration, show that the Voronoi layer, of course, is slowly moving up. If you set it to 0 under the location multiplier, it stands still. Set it to 0.1, it'll go up faster. 0.01 slower. We have a rotation multiplier as well, so set this to 0 and set the rotation multiplier to 5 degrees, for example, and it'll slowly rotate over time. And yeah, this stuff can really help create some interesting looks, easily, all animated for you procedurally. Just fill in some numbers. You can shift the base rotation as well to make it go in a slightly different direction. So yeah, pretty cool. You can shift the location as well. Kind of like shifting or changing the seed. And yeah, that's basically everything that is new in this free update. So everyone who owns it already on Superhive Market, for example, and other web stores will get this free update. And yeah, if you want more tools, please check out my Patreon, because it has a exclusive post-processing tool. Let me just enable the other layers again. It can create even more cool looks for your renders. And I'm also working on a X-Ray and Hologram Shader for Unreal Engine. It is far from done, but yeah, I'm working on it. So keep your eyes open for that one. And I've also picked up a development on Exploder Tool Effects Collection again, because Blender 5.0 has seen massive performance improvements in the past few months. So yeah, I'm picking that up again as well. Thank you for your patience. I'm a solo developer, so I have to do this all on my own. It takes a lot of time, but yeah, I hope you enjoy everything. And I can't wait what you guys will make with the new X-Ray and Hologram Shader 2.0. So yeah, share it on social media. Tag me in your posts. I'm really curious as to what you guys make with it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Take care.